Hey guys, it's Becky, Town Administrator for the Town of Kitzmiller. I'm here today at the Kitzmiller Coal Heritage Museum. I have Council nominee Danny Stiles here with me. So he is here helping me record this video so I can tell you guys a little bit about the Kitzmiller flood that happened in 1924. So the information where I got this from is volume 2 of the 1926 yearbook. So from Kitzmiller High School. Beginning on page 87 in that yearbook, it states, Kitzmiller Flood. Kitzmiller, Maryland, a name and place to be proud of. Kitzmiller is a pious community, very, and we think that somehow we occupy a position favorable to close scrutiny by the powers that be. We are sure that we are much loved, and for the ones most dearly loved are sometimes sorely chastened. It is said, whoso I love, him will I chasten. Am I pronouncing that correct? Chasten?
Sounds right.
I don't know. The winter of 1923 to 24 was unusual, only for the amount of snowfall. The temperature was no more severe than in other years, but there was scarcely a day that passed that there was not some snowfall. Not an excessive amount any one day, but there was some that day, and some the day before, and some the day after. Not much, but some. There was a continuously changing wind movement too. There were elevations bare, and hollows and ravens drifted full to overflowing. This was a continuous condition, and at the time of which we write, there was snow aplenty. Good, heavy, wet snow. After the weather, wise residents had observed that the groundhog had seen his shadow, the raccoon and possum had not ventured forth, and that the call of the fish had not met with response. They began to compare prognostications? That's it. While the conclusions and dedications of these wise men were often at variance, there was one point on which there was unanimous agreement. If this snow goes off with a warm rain, something is going to be doing in the town of Kitzmiller, and that something is not going to be to our liking. The morning of March 28, 1924, dawned murky and warm, accompanied by a drizzle of rain, which continued constantly throughout the day and well into the night, with a gradual raising of water in the river. At 9 or 10 o'clock at night, the people began to realize somewhat the danger that had threatened the town. A watchman was stationed to keep a close scrutiny on the water, which at 10 o'clock was not at a seriously alarming stage, but the rise of the water was steadily increasing, and by the hour of 2 o'clock on the morning of March 29th, the danger point was passed and our town was minced by complete destruction. The alarm was sounded and people hastily donned what clothes could be conveniently reached, and all who were able to reach high ground immediately fled to its protecting shelter. However, some folks had not paid instant attention to the danger signal, and when they attempted to leave their places of abode, found themselves surrounded by a raging flood, escape from which was impossible. The flashing lights and calling from one person to another made a situation which can never be imagined except by persons who have gone through a similar experience. The longest night must end, and this was the usual variety, with the exception that it seemed an age. With the coming of daylight, there was a sorry scene spread before our eyes. The town was almost completely submerged on the bottom. Above the factory bridge, the greater portion of land was covered, with here and there a knoll of ground above the water. Houses, chicken coops, pig pens, and debris of every description were rushing by, with horses, cows, pigs, and chickens being swept along with the drift. One house came down the river, in which on a stand in an upstairs room stood a lighted lamp that continued burning until the house struck the river bridge and went to pieces. This state of terror continued until 11 o'clock in the morning. when the water began to recede. With all our sustained damage, we were fortunate in one particular. The life loss was small. Only one family perished, and this family of 5 persons was caught and surrounded before they even had time to make their escape, the water rising until the house and family were all swept away. The property damage was large: 21 houses, numerous automobiles, trucks, and large quantities of outbuildings such as wash houses with the usual assortment of washing machines, tubs, and the various articles which are in everyday use around the house. So in this article, there are also pictures of what the flood had looked like. But we are fortunate enough to have actual copies. If you just want to pause it just for a second. So these flood pictures were actually donated by the family of Margaret Morris. So there's actually this little shadow box they donated, completely full of, artifacts and different things, mementos. But inside of it, it says flood pictures, March 29th, 1924. So I'm not sure how good you're going to be able to see these photos, but this is just some of the damage that was caused. So there's an automobile right there. Here's another one. And if I had to guess, this was probably down on East Main Street, which was Main Street back then. So there's that one. You can see the damages done to these houses. This one's pretty significant, the damage and debris. Unfortunately, there's no information on these pictures. So if you know of anybody or remember seeing these pictures yourself, or you happen to know who is in them, we would love to know. This one's pretty significant as well. It's a picture of the river after it was all subsided. Now this next photo I'm pretty impressed with, it being taken in 1924. Just the quality of it.
See the miners stuff over.
Yeah, and then you can also see like the reflection of this house. Like it's just a good picture, good photo. There's the sidewalk washed away. There's that one as well. This is the old schoolhouse. It's located, I believe this one was located here on West Center Street. From the research I've done. This is the old factory lot. So the old factory lot is the lots where Union Street is at now. So the blighted building that the town received the CDBG grant to have demolished, that's where these buildings stood. And here is the, I think they called it a tipple?
Tipple.
Tipple. This one's pretty crazy looking at it.
Wow.
I just couldn't even imagine. Here's the amount of snowfall that was received. And then this photo in particular, this house is still currently standing, and it is located in Shelmar. I don't know why I'm shaking so bad. It's my ADHD probably. You can just see like where the houses were completely lifted off of their foundations. amount of debris that was left in the middle of the streets. You can see the old Methodist, or the Methodist church right here, which is located on East Main Street. So this is part of that old factory lot.
So this would be about where the Miranda Savage's practice would be.
Yes, where Savage Family Health Care pretty much sits, like probably right in here. And then one more. So again, this is just something that we wanted to share with, you know, our residents and supporters. You know, just one of those things to make a little bit of awareness, to, you know, give some credibility where credibility is due for the ones who fought for us to have the flood wall installed. So over the next upcoming weeks, you will see some information shared about, you know, the difference between a flood warning and a flood watch. You'll see some information shared about who fought for the flood wall and where those funds came from. So stay tuned. It'll be about a 4 to 6 week, I don't want to say program, but
Series.
Series, there we go, because, you know, Becky doesn't do programs. So we'll have like a little series, just to be a little bit informative and give some information and bring some history to light. Thanks for joining us today.